I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and for the last 10 years I thought I had a pretty solid marriage with Emily. We met in college, hit it off pretty quick, and for a while everything seemed perfect. She was smart, ambitious, a little bitchy sometimes, but that's just who she was, kind of a firecracker. I liked that about her. She always had a quick comeback, a snarky comment that made me laugh or roll my eyes. But lately, I've been noticing little things that didn't add up. It started around 6 months ago, honestly. Emily had been working more overtime, saying it was some big project at her job. She was normally pretty transparent about her schedule, but suddenly she'd be disappearing for hours, claiming she was at the office when her phone wouldn't tell the same story. She'd come home late, tired, and sometimes with a weird look in her eyes. She'd brush me off if I asked about her day, say I was reading too much into it, but I knew better. I felt it in my gut, something was going on. Then there were the texts. I never really checked her phone much, but one night I caught her leaving her phone on the counter unlocked after a long day. I saw the notifications pop up, texts from some guy named Kyle. They weren't just friendly. There was flirting, jokes that were way too intimate, and even some talk that hinted at something more. I froze, my stomach twisted. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, but I played it cool, just enough to not blow up right away. The more I looked, the more I found. It was always small stuff, hidden receipts for hotels, strange late-night calls, little lies she'd throw out. I'd confront her, but she'd spin some bullshit about work stress or being bored and lonely. "You don't understand my job," she'd say, eyes narrowing. "You're just paranoid." But I wasn't paranoid, I was hurt. She was lying to me, betraying me right in front of my face, and I didn't even know the full extent. One day, I decided to dig a little deeper. I installed a monitoring app on her phone, something I never wanted to do, but I was desperate. I needed to know the truth. That's when I saw the messages, the calls, the secret meetings. She'd been cheating on me with Kyle for months. They'd been sneaking around, meeting up after her long nights at work, and I had no idea. It was heartbreaking and infuriating all at once. I kept telling myself it wasn't possible, that she'd never do that to me, but the evidence was clear. She was lying, betraying me, and I didn't know how to process it. I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. I kept replaying everything, the missed signs, the little hints, and then the betrayal hit me like a brick wall. I was furious, but mostly heartbroken. I'd always been loyal, honest, the guy who did everything right. And here she was, playing her little game behind my back. I wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead I just sat there, stunned, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do next. After I found out, everything changed in an instant. I'd been sitting there, staring at her phone, the messages like a punch to the stomach, and I couldn't breathe. All those nights I'd felt something off, all the little lies. She spun, turns out she'd been lying to my face for months. And the worst part, she was so damn good at hiding it. Emily always had a way of making me doubt myself, accusing me of paranoia or overreacting. But now I knew the truth, and it was a slap in the face. I remember that night vividly. I was supposed to be working late, but instead I was secretly scrolling through her messages. I couldn't believe how brazen she'd been, talking about Kyle like he was some sort of hero, sending flirty pics, planning their meetups. And she had the nerve to lie when I confronted her about the texts. She sat there, eyes narrowed, lips curling into that smirk she always used when she was about to dismiss something inconvenient. "Jake, you're overthinking again," she snapped. "You're insecure. Kyle's just a friend, and you're the one who's being paranoid because you're so obsessed with your stupid experiments." That was the moment I realized her whole attitude had shifted. She was bitchy, dismissive, and downright cruel. I tried to keep my cool, but inside I was boiling. I couldn't believe I'd been played for a fool for months. I thought about all the nights I stayed up late working on my project, my brain-computer interface calibration, and she was out screwing someone else. That betrayal cut so deep I thought I'd never come back from it. I had trusted her with everything, my heart, my life, my future, and she'd thrown it all away with some guy she met at work or some bar or wherever the hell they met. The emotional fallout was intense. For days I was a mess, angry, sad, betrayed. I kept asking myself how I hadn't seen it sooner. How did I miss all the signs? Why did she lie so convincingly? I felt like I was losing my mind. I'd catch myself staring at her, trying to understand how someone I loved so much could do this to me. Every time I saw her differently, like she'd become a stranger who had just destroyed what little trust we had left. The worst part, the way she lied. She'd tell blatant lies about where she'd been, who she'd been talking to, and I'd listen, knowing she was full of shit but powerless to do anything about it. One of the hardest things was the way she dismissed my feelings. When I finally confronted her face to face, she didn't even try to deny it at first. Instead, she played the victim, saying I was insecure and controlling. "You don't understand my job," she kept saying. "You're just jealous because I have a life outside of you." Yeah, right. Outside of me, her life involved Kyle and whatever else she was hiding. The more she lied, the angrier I got. I kept thinking, why the hell did I even marry her? What did I do to deserve this? I was naive, I guess, because I thought I knew her. A woman who once told me she loved me, who promised to be faithful, but her actions proved otherwise. My mind kept circling back to that moment, her smug face when she lied, the flicker of guilt she tried to hide, the way her voice trailed off when she was caught. I felt so stupid for trusting her, for believing in us. I started questioning everything. Was I just a placeholder for her? Was I always going to be second best to some guy she found more exciting? I didn't sleep much after that. I kept replaying what I'd seen, what I'd felt, trying to come to terms with the fact that my wife Emily had been cheating on me with my own brain-computer interface calibrator. That was the piece de resistance, the thing I'd been working on for months to enhance my cognitive abilities. And she'd used the downtime, the moments I was focused on that, to see Kyle, to screw him, to lie to my face. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let her get away with it. This wasn't just about the betrayal. This was about the principle, about standing up for myself after being so humiliated. But what? I didn't want to just blow up the marriage without thinking everything through. I had to plan, had to figure out how to get her to admit the truth without giving her the chance to spin more lies. But deep down, I knew everything I'd worked for, my project, my mental peace, was on the line now. The stakes had never been higher. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd uncovered. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. For years, I'd poured myself into my research, my brain-computer interface project, thinking I was doing something important, something groundbreaking. And meanwhile, Emily was out there, sneaking around with Kyle, probably laughing at how stupid I was for trusting her. I knew I had to act. I couldn't just confront her cold and angry. That'd probably make her dig her heels in more, deny everything, and make it worse. No, I needed to stay calm, analyze what I knew, and come up with a plan. I started by arranging a meeting with a private investigator. I figured if I was going to confront her, I needed concrete proof, something undeniable. I wanted her caught red-handed, or at least I wanted her to believe I was serious about catching her. The investigator was surprisingly easy to find. I told him I suspected my wife was cheating and needed discreet surveillance. He agreed, and within a few days I had a camera installed in our bedroom, pointing at her side of the bed. I also had him follow her around, track her movements, and gather any evidence of her interactions with Kyle or anyone else. I didn't want to destroy her, not outright. Yet, I just needed something that would make her realize I knew, that would force her to confront her lies. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't stupid, that I'd caught her. Meanwhile, I kept up my work on the project, pretending everything was normal. I'd sit in my lab, working late into the night, my mind half focused on my interface calibrator, but also constantly alert for any sign of her changing her story or trying to cover her tracks. It was exhausting, living two lives, one pretending it was all okay and the other feeling like I was walking on a razor's edge. I didn't sleep much, and I kept replaying all the moments when I felt something was wrong, trying to piece together the puzzle. And then finally the day came. The investigator delivered the footage, hours of her sneaking around, meeting Kyle at a coffee shop, some hotel room I'd never seen before. It was worse than I imagined. They'd been together for months, hiding it all. Seeing her kiss him, hear her laugh at some private joke made my blood boil. I watched her lie to my face, cheat behind my back, and then come home like nothing had happened. It was a punch to the gut that I'd never forget. I felt crushed, betrayed, humiliated. I knew I couldn't let her get away with this anymore. I wanted to confront her, but I also wanted her to understand she was caught. I had to be careful, though. I didn't want to push her into a corner or make her more defiant. I just wanted her to face the truth, face me, and own up to what she'd done. I planned to do it that evening when she'd come home from her long day at work. I'd be waiting, ready to reveal everything I knew. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool anymore, that I'd caught her and I was done playing her game. That night I sat in the dark, my phone ready to record, the footage queued up on my laptop. As she unlocked the door and stepped inside, I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. This was it. Whatever came next, I knew I wouldn't be the same after today. I just didn't realize how much more would be revealed, how many other lies she'd tell, how far her deception stretched. But I was prepared to face it all. I had to. She walked in, all confident and bitchy like she owned the place, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I kept pretending to be casual, but inside I was already preparing for the confrontation. I had the footage ready to play, and I planned to lay everything out on the table. I wanted her to see her own lies, her own betrayal in black and white. I looked at her, trying to keep my voice steady. "Emily, we need to talk," I said quietly but firmly. She rolled her eyes, scoffing like I was bothering her. "What now, Jake? It's been a long day. Can't it wait?" I pulled out my laptop and with a deep breath I pressed play on the footage. I wanted her to see herself caught red-handed so there would be no denying. As the video played, her face twisted into disbelief, then anger. She was trying to pretend she didn't know what I was showing her, but her eyes kept darting away, avoiding the screen. She opened her mouth to lie again, but I cut her off. "Save it, Emily. I saw everything. The hotel, the coffee dates, the kisses. I've had enough of your bullshit." Her eyes widened, then narrowed again, and she sneered. "You're crazy. You've been spying on me." I shook my head. "No, I've been catching you, and I'm done pretending I don't know. You've been cheating on me with Kyle for months." Her face went red and she started blabbering. "I was bored, okay? It meant nothing. It was just sex. You're so obsessed with your stupid project, I needed someone to talk to, someone who actually listens." I couldn't believe the crap she was spewing. Sex, that's all it was. Then why lie about it? Why hide it? Why keep meeting him behind my back? She looked furious now, her voice rising. "Don't you dare call it cheating. You're the one who's been so distant lately. I was lonely, Jake. Maybe I should have gone to someone who actually gave a damn." That hit me hard. I felt my fists clench, the anger bubbling over. How could she be so callous, so selfish? I had been working my ass off trying to make my research work, trying to get us ahead, and she was out screwing some guy because she was lonely. I wanted to scream at her, to shake her, but I just stared, stunned. The woman I loved, the woman I married, was sitting right in front of me, lying and blaming me for her own betrayal. Her tone suddenly changed, more bitter. "Look, Jake, I don't need your bullshit right now. I've had enough of your accusations. I'm sick of your paranoia. Maybe I should just leave since you're so obsessed with your stupid experiment, your stupid interface. I don't need this shit." She stood up, grabbing her purse, trying to act like she was done with it all, but I wasn't finished. Not yet. I took a step closer, voice low but steady. "You're not going anywhere, Emily. Not until you own up to this. I want an honest answer. Did you sleep with him? Did you really cheat on me?" Her eyes flicked away for a moment, then back at me with venom. "Yeah, I did. And what are you gonna do about it, huh? Cry, get mad? I don't care anymore." She was trying to dismiss me, to make me feel small, but I felt something crack inside. I wasn't just angry, I was hurt. I'd always thought we were better than this, that we had something real. And now I realized I'd been living with a woman who was capable of betrayal I'd never expected. The pain was sharp, raw. I didn't know where to put it, how to process it. All I knew was that I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. I told her to leave, to pack her things and go. I needed space, time to think. But inside, I was already planning what I'd do next. This wasn't just about her cheating. It was about rebuilding myself, figuring out whether I could forgive her or if I'd be better off walking away. I knew one thing for sure: nothing would be the same from this moment on. The house felt colder after she left. The silence was deafening, and I sat there, staring at the empty doorway, my mind racing. I'd finally confronted her, laid everything bare, and she'd admitted it all with that bitchy, unapologetic attitude. Honestly, I felt a strange mix of relief and devastation. Relief that I finally knew the truth, but devastation because I'd trusted her for so long and she'd thrown that trust in the trash. I spent the next few days in a fog trying to process what had happened. I disconnected from my project more than I should have, unable to focus fully. The betrayal haunted me constantly. I kept going over everything, her lies, her sneers, her excuses. I wondered how I'd let it get this far, how I'd failed to see the signs. Was I really that naive? Or just stupid for believing we had something real? Meanwhile, I started to develop a plan. I couldn't just walk away without leaving her with some kind of lesson. I didn't want to destroy her completely, but I did want her to understand she'd crossed a line. I decided I'd get some revenge, something that would hit her where it hurt, but not just destructive for the sake of it. I wanted her to see the consequences of her actions. First, I reached out to Kyle. I knew I shouldn't, but I needed to hear his side. Turns out, he was just a guy who saw her at her worst. She was bitchy, dismissive, and always annoyed at me for whatever reason. Kyle had no real feelings for her, just some stupid fling. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that I now had leverage. I got his number, told him I knew everything, and warned him that I wasn't the kind of guy who liked being played for a fool. He seemed genuinely surprised, maybe even a little scared, which I took as a good sign. Then I turned my focus on Emily's social media. I started posting some carefully curated screenshots of her messages, without her name, but enough to make her look guilty if someone caught them. I wanted her to feel exposed, to realize that I wasn't just going to sit around and take it. I also made sure to tell a few mutual friends what I'd found, just enough to make her uncomfortable but not blow everything up publicly. I didn't want to look vengeful. I just wanted her to see she'd lost control. I also took things further. I made a fake profile and started talking to her, pretending to be some interested guy. I kept her engaged just enough to see if she'd slip up again, and surprisingly, she did. She started flirting back, talking about how she was tired of my attitude and how she deserved better. She even hinted at her plans to leave, to start fresh, to finally be free from the boring, controlling husband she'd been stuck with. That was the final push I needed. One night I sent her a message, just a simple, straightforward message, showing her that I knew everything. I told her I'd had enough of her lies, that I was done playing her game, and she'd better be prepared for what was coming. I wanted her to know I was serious. The next morning she called me furious. She denied everything, called me crazy, said I was stalking her, that I was just jealous. But I had the proof and I let her know that. That night she tried to come back, claiming she was sorry, that it was a mistake. But I was done. The aftermath was brutal. She packed her bags and left, and I stayed in the house, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd won in a way, but at what cost? I'd lost the woman I thought I knew, and I'd had to see my own trust shattered. Still, I knew I'd done the right thing. I didn't deserve to be lied to, cheated on, or disrespected like that. Now I'm trying to piece my life back together. I've been focusing on my project again, on my work, on myself. I've learned that trust is fragile and that betrayal cuts deep. But I also learned that sometimes you have to fight back, stand up for yourself, and reclaim your dignity. Emily might have been my wife, but I am still me, stronger, wiser, and ready to move on. And honestly, I want everyone to know, don't let anyone treat you like shit. If they do, get rid of them. Nobody's worth your pain. It's been a few months since everything fell apart. I won't pretend I've fully healed. Some nights the betrayal still hits like a punch to the gut. But I've come to accept the reality, and I've learned a lot about myself in the process. Trust, I realized, isn't something you give blindly, it's something you earn, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to mend. Emily's lies shattered mine, but I refuse to let that define me. I'm rebuilding slowly but surely. Living alone has been a revelation. The house is quieter, less tense. I don't have to watch my back around her anymore. Instead, I've thrown myself into my work, my research, and reconnecting with friends. I've learned that self-respect is crucial and how important it is to recognize red flags early. I should have seen her manipulations, her bitchy attitude, the subtle ways she dismissed me. But I was blinded by love, or maybe just naive. Either way, I won't make that mistake again. Looking back, I see the whole ordeal as a wake-up call. It exposed her true nature, but also helped me realize my own strength. I've started therapy, not because I'm broken, I just want to make sure I don't carry this pain forever. And I've decided I'll never let someone treat me like that again. That's the real lesson. Trust is fragile, yes, but so is self-worth. When someone betrays you, it's a blow to your confidence, but it's also an opportunity to rebuild who you are. I want to be clear about something. I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't regret exposing her lies or fighting back. If anything, I wish I'd done it sooner. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of a perfect life, but sometimes you have to face the ugly truth head-on. It hurts, yeah, but in the long run, it's better than living in denial. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, don't ignore the signs. Don't let guilt or fear keep you from seeing the truth. Trust your instincts. If someone is cheating or betraying you, confronting it early can save you a lot of pain down the line. And remember, your worth isn't defined by someone else's lies or betrayal. You're better than that. So here I am now, still healing, still learning. I can't say I've forgiven Emily, honestly. I doubt I ever will, but I've learned to let go of the anger, to accept what's happened, and to focus on my future. I've got my work, my family, and myself. That's enough. Life goes on, even after the worst betrayals, and I'm finally starting to believe that I deserve happiness again. That's what matters most.